everybody. Good afternoon on Monday. I am Alanna Rizzo. That is Clint Pasillas. We are your two hosts for Dodgers Territory. What do you got there, Clint? Oh, you're just waving hi to the people. Okay. Don't forget to rate us 5 stars, like, subscribe, say yes to YouTube, say yes to us, Dodgers Territory, wherever you get your podcast. It's great to be with you, Clint. It's been a few days since we spoke. Of course, our last show was on Thursday. So before we get into things, just your quick takeaway over the course of the weekend, my friend.
Everything's fine. I'm totally not mad or upset or butthurt about anything. Everything is fine. And I want to get myself some of those Mickey Mouse ears that the Giants gave away on Sunday, because that's a real pro move from an organization. But
it's ridiculous. You're so ridiculous, because if we did that, if we would have come up with it first, you would have thought it was the greatest thing ever. So I don't want to hear it. Let's get into the big ticket. All right, Clint, I think the last thing you need to worry about, my friend, are the Mickey Mouse ears. I think the bigger concern is the black hole that is third base. Go.
Yeah, it's been a little bit rough, we'll say, numbers wise. What is it? Since where I'm at 20, Kike Hernandez and Kevin Biggio, who have been taking the lion's share of time at third base since Muncy has gone down. 21 for 135. That's a 156 clip, 40 strikeouts. Overall, not having a good time at third base, and that has now open up the door for Chris Taylor to get a run there. The resurgent Chris Taylor, the dare I say, back from the dead, Christopher Armand Taylor, CT3, getting a chance. 9 for 20 over his last 2 weeks of the season. And what I like about CT3, Alanna, you're somebody that did not give up on Chris Taylor. The Dodgers did not give up on Chris Taylor either. And it's not just, it wasn't just a switch that was hit. It wasn't, him getting lucky. There's actual swing changes that got us to this point. And Dave Roberts says he's going to get a run at third base, and it looks earned. It looks earned.
I don't ever give up on Chris Taylor. I know that there's a lot of people that wanted to take him to the train station. And if you watch Yellowstone, you know that reference, which, by the way, Kevin Costner and friends, figure it out so we can actually finish Yellowstone as a series instead of just like leaving everybody hanging on a cliff. But the point is, Chris Taylor has done some really good things in a Dodgers uniform, and I just was not quite ready to give up on him yet. And it seems like he's kind of turning a corner a little bit. Is he an all-star? No. Is he Shohei Ohtani? No. But I do believe that he has had enough success in that uniform with enough black type and enough stuff on his baseball card to warrant him getting another chance and getting this run at third base. Now, the Dodgers have the luxury of being able to continue to give him that run because they have the lead that they have. They have other talented guys surrounding Chris Taylor. So hopefully this is an opportunity for him to continue the success that he has had recently, swinging the bat, not striking out, hitting the long ball. But where is Miguel Vargas? Why is Miguel Vargas not at third base?
Well, they gave up on the Miguel Vargas third base experiment a season or two ago. 2 off seasons ago, the plan was, hey, this kid is going to take over at second base. Worked all off season, learning the new position with Dino Ebel. Gavin Lux was there. They were putting in a whole bunch of work in the off season at Dodger Stadium, and the bat wasn't there. Something that was always part of Miguel Vargas's game was the bat. You look at his minor league numbers before making his major league debut. I mean, this kid was a hitter. He was a can't-miss star hitter with the bat. The defense was always going to be questionable, so they did not like him at third base. Second base, not massive fans of him, even though to me he kind of passed the eye test. It wasn't pretty. The advanced metrics will tell you, no, not great there. And now they've kind of put him in this weird defensive purgatory where he's barely playing, but when he gets in the lineup, where are we at? We're hitting 324 at the major league level this season, 914 OPS, 290 with a OPS over 1,000 at AAA this season. The bat is back, and they need to find a way to get him in the lineup because Kevin Biggio hasn't been great defensively at third. Kike Hernandez, Dave loves the defense at third or whatever, but if we can find a way to mix him in, he's got a strong enough arm. You got, the best defensive coaches in the game at the big league level. I'm at this point in the season, you're okay to kind of just try it, but I would rather see him not get buried anymore. The kid's earning it. He's earning his opportunity.
I'm with you. I think, listen, if you thought so highly of Miguel Vargas, why are we limiting his at bats? Why are we burying him in
That's the
AAA? I
left.
mean, it's not like the bottom third of the order is crushing the ball and lighting everything on fire. So perhaps we give him a little bit more of a run. Again, I'm never going to give up on Chris Taylor, but there is a spot in the infield for Miguel Vargas. Let's get this kid a little bit more time. But you know what? Let's talk to Matthew Moreno, who does a great job as the executive director of Dodger Blue. He's a good friend of ours. He's been a longtime supporter of Guidry's Guardian Foundation, and he's kind enough to join us today on this Monday afternoon. And Matt, always good to see you. You have been a steady force in the Dodgers coverage for as long as I know. So it's always good to have you here. Why should we be concerned, if we should be, about the hole in our minds at third base?
I mean, I don't know if there's necessarily reason to be overly concerned just because Max Muncy is going to return at this point. At some point, I know his oblique injury has certainly lingered longer than we were initially told the expectation was. But we've all followed this sport for a long time. Obliques can certainly be tricky, so it wasn't too much of a surprise, at least for me, that Muncy wasn't ready yet. So, and Alanna, like you were just saying, the Dodgers do have the luxury of, a comfortable lead in the NL West, second best record in the National League, all that stuff. So even if Muncy were to miss another 3 weeks or a month, the Dodgers should be okay. They have been okay. My concern always with this team is, what does it look like for October? And when you're looking to October, like I said, Muncy should be back at that point, and that solves the third base problem. And in the meantime, if Chris Taylor is going to be getting more opportunities there, he is certainly trending up the last 15 games, definitely the last 7 games. Then that becomes an answer, at least for the meantime. And then once Muncy is back, if you need Taylor to platoon somewhere else, then he's in a much better position than what we've seen so far this season.
Matt, you're somebody that's active on the social media machine. You know a lot about this team, a lot about what the fan base is thinking. What is the pulse of the fan base right now? Coming out of a series where they didn't look too good. Yeah, you love the come from behind win, or sorry, the big extra innings win on Saturday. But how's the fan base feeling in your opinion?
Some frustration with how the weekend went, definitely. There's a lot of Kevin Biggio criticism, Kike Hernandez, as well. As you said, he's oddly kind of struggled defensively recently. Chris Taylor, I think because he got off to such a poor start this season, that his recent trajectory and upswing isn't necessarily being recognized. But of course, that tends to happen. Like, fans can kind of remember what a player has been, and if Taylor's not hitting a home run or doing something in every single at bat, then it's he's been struggling all season long. So yeah, I mean, I think there's some frustration, but it's important to always kind of take at least half a step back and really look at the entire picture of things right now.
Matthew Moreno, is Garrett Crochet a Dodger by the All-Star break?
No, I don't think so.
Come on!
I not the All-Star, maybe the trade, but I don't think before it.
Got to make a move. Got to make a move. Where do you think this team goes at the trade deadline? Because they're in this kind of precarious spot where we know there's a lot of bodies coming back, bullpen potentially starting rotation. You mentioned Max Muncy. Maybe there's an opening at second base. The outfield kind of seems to be figuring itself out. Which direction do you think they're thinking at this moment?
Yeah, so for me, I think they do. I think the Garrett Crochet stuff was interesting, and it is indicative of they are going to certainly address the starting rotation, and ideally not just with somebody to kind of fill in. They're going to look for some high ceiling. I know that's obviously a popular descriptor at times, but certainly a talented, maybe not quite an ace, but somebody who could start the second game of a post game series. And so a week ago, 2 weeks ago, I wasn't quite as convinced that they would look to address the starting rotation. But with that speculation, I think that becomes a focus. I think at shortstop, I'm not fully convinced that they go and get one of the big names. I know Bo Bichette has been popular. The Brewers are playing well, so I don't know if they'll end up trading Willy Adames. But it wouldn't surprise me if maybe they find somebody who could just kind of maybe spell Miguel Rojas at shortstop. It does seem like they might be more open to keeping him there once Mookie does come back. That being said, Miguel Rojas is older than he is younger, and it doesn't mean he certainly hasn't been productive or impressive, but the Dodgers have always been mindful of his workload and not putting too much on him. He's had some soft tissue injuries in the past, and they want to obviously avoid those moving forward. So it wouldn't shock me if they go starting rotation and maybe finding, more of a defensive minded type shortstop, kind of second level guy that you weren't necessarily anticipating.
Are there real starting staff rotation concerns? I have not thought, and Clint can attest to this, I have not thought that the Dodgers were deep enough in their starting staff, and that was with a healthy everybody, and it seems like nobody's healthy. So are you concerned about the Dodgers starting staff, particularly? I'm not worried about the regular season, Matt. We know that they're going to the postseason. But in a 5-game series, who are your top 3, and do they need to go out and get a strong frontline starter?
Yeah, I think you have to at this point. Yamamoto's injury changed a lot of things. And not only is it an injury, but it's a rotator cuff. And those are always tricky for, any type of pitcher. And obviously a starter. It Before that, I felt like the Dodgers did potentially have enough of a rotation. Bobby Miller has been more inconsistent than I anticipated this season. But factoring everything in, like you said, the injuries, some of the performances. Yeah, right now it looks like you have Tyler Glasnow and Gavin Stone, and that's about it. And Gavin Stone, as great as he's been, he still, would be getting kind of his first taste of October baseball. And you never know. That could work out well. He could certainly rise to the moment. And I think there's reason to believe he can. But also, how much is fair to reasonably expect out of a young pitcher in that situation for the first time?
Yeah, we're looking right now. Tyler Glasnow is nearing his career innings limit or career single seasons inning limit. Stoner last year between Triple A and the big leagues got about 131 innings. So those are definitely some real concerns there. You mentioned Bobby Miller. Who, in your mind, are you more concerned about in the long run for this season? Is it Bobby Miller or is it somebody like Walker Buehler, who we have not seen anywhere close to vintage butane of old? Who's more standing out in your opinion?
I think I'm more concerned with Bobby Miller just because I had more expectations for him this year. With Bueller, I thought if he somehow comes back and is like a very, very good number 3 or a very, very good number 4 starter, great. But fact of the matter is, his second Tommy John surgery, he's been out for a long time. Like, it was going to take him. I thought, if anything, next year would be a better season for Bueller. So because of that, in my estimation, Bobby Miller was certainly somebody the Dodgers were counting on, I think, a little bit more. And so to see some of his inconsistency, obviously he only made, I think it was 3 starts before going on the injured list. He was out for an extended period of time. It's only been a couple starts so far. But what we've seen, I think there is reason to be more concerned with him because of, I think, what he means to the Dodgers for October.
Matt, what's your bigger level of concern, if that's even a fair statement? Is it the starting rotation and the lack of depth there, my words, not yours, or the bullpen? And also give us an update on Joe Kelly's status and if they need another legitimate bullpen piece. Honeybun can only do so much, Matt.
Yeah, I think the bullpen I'm not too concerned with. Hopefully Brusdar Graterol is back at some point this season. Joe Kelly is, he's going to be still going to be out for a while. Dave Roberts said his return won't come until sometime after the All-Star break. And that's obviously a loose sort of timeline because Joe will need to go on a rehab assignment and all that. And for relief pitchers, that is certainly shorter than a starter. And so, once he gets back, I think he could help. I think, maybe the Dodgers could still stand to benefit from adding a relief pitcher, an experienced one. Certainly doesn't have to be a closer. I know that there's a little bit of Kenley Jansen speculation out there, which hasn't been met by positive feedback, at least with the fan response that I've come across since that's come out. But yeah, to your point, Evan Phillips can't necessarily do everything. Blake Treinen and Daniel Hudson have pitched well. I know there've been some bumps in the road of late, but then after that, you're sort of relying on Anthony Banda, Johan Ramirez, who have done well. But again, these are inexperienced guys that you don't know how that's going to necessarily go come the postseason.
All right, so the people in the chat are clamoring for some vintage Matt Moreno talk here. We know you're a big time foodie there at Dodger Stadium. We see it on the feed. Make sure you guys are following him at Matthew _Moreno on the internet.
Yeah, it was a pain.
It's the whole name there. But I understand you got something excited coming up here. You're excited about was it Japanese Heritage Night? Is that what it is? Ponzu fries? I saw ponzu fries.
Yeah, this is interesting to see the Dodgers doing, like it says, for the first time they've blended some Mexican, Japanese fusion food. I don't know if I'll necessarily be up to trying them. I might have to have Blake. I like to give him a hard time and say, hey, I'll recommend stuff and you try it and let me know. And if it's good, then maybe I check it out after the fact. But I'm not the most adventurous person when it comes to food.
I mean, I get it. I fully understand what they're doing. I mean, nothing screams Japanese heritage like fries. I do get though ponzu, like that part I understand. The ponzu sauce, I get that. Let me ask you this: best ballpark food, Matt, that you have ever had anywhere?
Ooh, that's a great question. I'm gonna go. So several years back, Petco Park had this Philly cheesesteak that they served on a pretzel bun, and
Oh,
it had like kind of a spicy. The cheese that they used was like almost like a spicy nacho cheese type. That was very good. But then I remember I forgot what year I had it, and then I went back the following season, and it was gone, and it hasn't been back since.
you're the only one
So
that
that's
liked
been
it.
disappointing.
That's cold-blooded stuff right there. Hey, bring it back for our guy Matt. He's already had a rough enough season. By the way, great to see you back on your feet doing this coverage. What we're all here doing. I'm going to put you on the spot here. Who is the starting shortstop for the Dodgers come October?
Miguel Rojas.
Giving some love to our guy Miggy Rowe, Alanna.
I don't know if you know this, Matt. I don't know how much you watch Dodgers territory, but Clint Pasillas is infatuated with Miguel Rojas. And Miggy Rowe's streak just ended. But you have to admit, Matt, that was quite the streak. And what he brings to the table as far as leadership, anyone that can coach and mentor Mookie Betts on anything, that to me is impressive. And Miguel can do that. I find it funny that like everyone's like, oh, he's old. He can't do it every day. If he's old, I'm ancient and dead. But what do you think on his return trip to the Dodgers that he has meant to this club?
He's meant a lot. I mean, like you said, the leadership aspect I think can't be overvalued, and that's something that I know fans sometimes are a little bit quick to dismiss, and especially not everybody is as fortunate as we have been to kind of be around the team, see Miguel Rojas before batting practice, during batting practice, in the clubhouse, kind of the conversations he's having, and just how much respect he commands, like you said, from Mookie Betts, from everybody in the team, and I think to your point, like, yes, the streak was certainly fun and it was sad to see his undefeated record come to an end when he had a hit and all that. But and we were trying to drum up some NL MVP support for him. I don't know why that wasn't happening. But yeah, Rojas has been great. And I think it's been interesting is, he's embraced any role that the Dodgers have asked. And this wasn't supposed to be it. He was even going back to last year, he was going to be a utility infielder off the bench. But then, of course, Gavin Lux's unfortunate injury happened and that changed some things. Miguel Rojas was ready. He didn't have the season that he would have wanted out of himself. Worked hard during the offseason, got healthier, further removed from his wrist surgery. And now you're seeing, I think, some of the benefits from it.
I got a gripe about the whole Rojas situation before we get to Elisheva's comment here. I think everybody started getting too crazy, too loose with the ball there, and bringing up the streak. Miggy Rowe talking about the streak with Chris Rose. They're talking about that on his show. Everybody just started talking about it too much, and you take the magic away from that one.
But that's what we do. That's what we do so well. We beat. I'm not going to say this because I'm an animal. I'm an animal advocate, but we beat stuff to death, right? Like that's what we do. We lock on to streaks. We lock on to statistics, and the guys hate that more than anything. So it's our own damn fault, by the way. Elisheva Jones is such a good supporter of our podcast. I want to know what size shirt you wear. I want to know what your noggin size is because I'm sending you stuff. Elisheva, I need you to give us your address and give us your shirt and hat sizes. I'm hooking you up. Yes, no, you're not the only one that sees that Vezia is awesome. Do we not talk about Vezia enough, Matt?
I don't think. Well, he gets talked about if he pitches poorly in one game. Then it's
that's so unfair, though, right?
Yeah, I mean, and that's always kind of the battle with following a team and trying to cover them and update fans on what's going on. It's again, like to my point earlier, it's important to take that half step back, the full step back, kind of look at the bigger picture. He has had some bumps in the road along his career, but he's also gotten back on track. He was demoted last year, came back, pitched well, had some early struggles this season, but I think is back, into being another sort of trusted reliever for Dave Roberts.
Well, we appreciate the time, Matt. Hopefully we get you on again and we have a crazy, wild trade deadline to cover or very little because we don't know quite what this team's going to end up doing, but I'm sure it'll be fun. I'm sure it'll be exciting. Tell the people where to find you. Of course, the executive editor over at DodgerBlue.com, but tell the people where to find you on the internet, man.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you sharing the fancy title, but you can find us just dodgerblue.com. We have a great staff. We cover the team on a daily basis. Even an off day like today, we've got a bunch of content up for you. And over on our YouTube channel, certainly Dodger Blue 1958, we have a bunch of videos, and of course, Twitter, Instagram, all that Dodger Blue 1958 as well.
All right, if you guys don't know why they call it Dodger Blue 1958, you better recognize and start studying up. Matthew Moreno, we appreciate you as always. Thanks so much. We will talk to you soon. Always a pleasure to talk to Matt with Dodger Blue. Time now for Last Licks. All right, Clint, let me quickly introduce you to Kaya. Kaya is a 1-year-old lab mix. She's a sweetheart. She's phenomenal with kids. She is phenomenal with other dogs. She is healthy. She is spayed or about to be spayed. She just passed her puppy obedience class with flying colors, which is, nothing that I can say about you and I didn't pass any obedience classes with any sort of colors. She's a great, great, great dog. She is loving and wonderful. She's available for adoption. She's in a foster home right now, but wants a forever family. Connect with us at goodreesguardian.org or hit us up on social media. Kaya is worth getting to know more about. I want to ask you this, Clint, about Shohei Ohtani. Has expressed interest, I believe, and of course, everybody I would think would like to see it. Shohei in the home run derby. Take it from both sides of the perspective, my friend, from a fan perspective and from an ownership perspective.
Yeah, I mean, the Dodgers are probably the ones that are in the toughest spot for this. Shohei has said he's down to do it if he is asked. I think everybody in the world would love to see Shohei Ohtani participating in the home run derby. But the Dodgers understandably invested a lot of money into this man. $2 million a year is what they invested in him. And of course, $700 million in the grand scheme of things. He is recovering from an elbow surgery. They do expect him to come back at some point as a pitcher and all of that. But that said, I think taking a few, G hacks out there in Texas isn't going to set him back massively. I think he can do it. I think he can give the fan base what he wants. I think the Dodgers should be open to it. I know Dave Roberts has come out and said that ideally they would rather not have him do that, but they're not going to get in the way. If he wants to do it, they're going to let him do it and get the biggest stars in the game. This is a global sensation, superstar, whatever words you want to use. Everybody in the world knows about Shohei Ohtani, and he should be out there representing this great game, spreading the goodwill of baseball by hitting the shit out of some baseballs in Texas.
I do not subscribe to the fact that playing in the home run derby jacks up your swing. It does not. So stop it. And Shohei Ohtani is a global sensation, as you mentioned. I echo that, my partner. If Shohei Ohtani wants to participate in the show run derby, I should just freaking change it to show run derby. If Shohei Ohtani wants to participate in the home run derby, then let Shohei Ohtani participate. We want kids to get involved and want to love baseball and want to learn about our great game. Then let the best players and the most dynamic players and the most unique players participate in this. You cannot live life and you cannot run a franchise. Easy for me to say because I'm not a billionaire that has a team, but you cannot run a franchise based on what you think is going to happen and all this doom and gloom. Like, what if he gets hurt? You know what? I have covered players that have tripped up stairs, tripped over their dog, like have been hurt their, clavicle carrying deer meat up the stairs. Like there's not enough stuff that you can put in a collective bargaining agreement of what players are not allowed to do because you cannot anticipate all of the weird shit that can happen to a player to get them hurt. So let Shohei Ohtani participate in the home run derby, put butts in seats, let fans see how awesome he is. I'm all for it. I get it from an ownership perspective. You're trying to protect your commodity. And by the way, Javier Herrera should be the grand marshal of the All-Star game. Because if you're trying to protect Shohei Ohtani, Javier Herrera is the man that you should be giving half of Shohei Ohtani's salary to because he just made sure his noggin was fine. Steven Richter, Luis Robert Jr. was in last year's home run derby and is now batting 200. Steven, it has nothing to do with the home run freaking derby. It has to do with the fact that he's having a terrible year, Mr. Classic. And if Shohei gets injured from the derby, you know what? Shohei could choke on a hamburger. So are we not going to let him eat? Like, I'm not into that. Oh God, no. Colossal Jaguar. Listen, you guys, there's so much stuff that can happen. You cannot live your life based on fear. You can't. He's not going to get, you know what?
He's a grown-up.
Edwin Diaz got hurt at the WBC. Are you not going to let him participate and play for his country? I'm sorry. If someone comes to me and says, hey, will you be the sideline reporter for Team USA or Italy or Cuba? Hell yeah, I'm in. What if I trip over my freaking IFB cord and smash my face into the ground? Oh, well, maybe I should be less clumsy. I mean, you can't live your life based on that. Let Shohei play.
Let Shohei play, and things happen. Also, you brought up the deer meat. I remembered that. Who was that?
Clint Barmas. Clint Barmas of the Colorado Rockies. Man. And he, these guys, a lot of these guys are hunters, man. They're hunters and gatherers. Apparently they don't realize that we have freezers and grocery stores. So they're hunters and gatherers, and he went hunting, and he was like carrying deer meat up the stairs or something, and he hurt his clavicle. I mean, Tom Brady tripped over. Didn't Tom Brady trip over his dog? I mean, like this is stuff that like you can't predict this stuff. Like, what if you're up in the middle of the night and you stub your toe or you walk on your kid's Legos? Has anyone ever walked on a Lego? Let Shohei Ohtani participate in the home run derby.
I'll say this: Shohei Ohtani is a grown boy. He is a very large amount of man. I think he can handle taking 40 to 50 swings in a night, maybe more. Go out there to have some fun. Just if you feel tired, you can exit the derby or whatever. Do you
want to grow this game? Do you want kids that have the attention span of a gnat pay attention to what? I mean, Major League Baseball and Rob Manfred have done a tremendous job of doing some rule changes to speed up pace of play. I love that. I'm all for the pitch clock. I'm for bigger bases. I'm for stealing more bags. I'm for the ghost runner in the 10th inning, not in the postseason. But I'm for the ghost runner, in extra innings. You guys, you can't worry about stuff like that. You can't. Sorry. And I'm 1,000 years old, so you can't worry about stuff like that.
I think there were also like somebody said it, or somebody somewhere said it, that they changed some rules that should be. Brett B says the new rules would help Ohtani. Anyways, I heard there were new rules. I didn't look into that yet. But they introduced, MLB announced there's new rules to the Derby today. So maybe we'll talk about that later.
Maybe we can do that on Thursday. Yeah, Brett B, the new rules would help Ohtani anyway. You're right, Brett. They would. Again, we don't have time to go into them now, but we will. Perhaps we'll address that. We actually have our show this week on Wednesday. We are closed on Thursday. It is the 4th of July, Independence Day. So Clint and I will be back on Wednesday, hopefully with a special guest. I don't want to spoil it in case I can't get him.
Hey, one last thing for you, Lana, before we get out of here, because it's now July 1st. If you were to put a grade on this Dodgers team from what you've seen over the first few months of the season, what would that grade be? Letter grade.
I mean, it's so tough because how do you give anything but an A to a team that has a 7-game lead in the division or whatever it is? But there's also an expectation that that's what you're supposed to do, right? I think they've done a good job with the amount of injuries that they've had, but no one feels sorry for the Los Angeles Dodgers when it comes to injuries. Nobody cares. I say that all the time. Nobody cares. They're doing exactly what they're supposed to be doing. So I guess I'm going to give them an A-. The bottom of the order needs to figure it out. And I'm nervous about our starting pitching in the postseason. So I'm going to give this team an A-. We'll see what they do, what our boy Andrew Friedman does at the trade deadline. I have all the faith in the world in this team. I always have.
Little Andy F, he's got to put in some work. Him and Brandon Gomes put in some work, make some changes on the fringes. The bones are there. The meat is there. They just need to.
What's your grade? What's your grade? And then tell me what you got going on tonight. I know you have a couple of shows coming up. So what do you got going on?
So my grade, I'm not going to spoil it because that's coming out tomorrow on my channel. So boom, teasers. But guys, join me tonight, my channel, All Dodgers, with Clint Pasillas. Hey, that's me. We are doing our Monday overreactions, Dodgers overreactions via the voicemail hotline. So people call in, they complain about the team, and I play it on air, and I react, and we talk about it. So that's tonight, 6 p.m. Pacific time. And then tomorrow, our friend Scott Gierman, who has been on the show a few times, he joins me every month on my channel, and we grade the team, and we complain about things, and we try to spin some positive. So that will also be live 6 p.m. tomorrow on my channel before the Dodgers play those Diamondbacks. And
Scott Gierman does such a good job, and I love hearing Craig Osterberg B+. That's fair. I think B+, A-, Craig. I think that's fair. I think you're being, you're like, it's just B. All right. Well, this guy was a tough grader. He doesn't like the bell curve very much, but that's fine. B, C gives him a B. What is it? A B, a C, or a B, a 2B? I don't know. I think that this Dodgers team is doing what they're supposed to be doing. Like what A+ is, how many games have they played? 80 and would be an A+. I mean, I don't know what else to say. I mean, they're doing what they can with what they have, and injuries. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. No one feels sorry for the Dodgers. No one feels sorry for the Dodgers. Nobody feels sorry for the Yankees. They just don't, and certainly nobody feels sorry for the Astros.
Yeah, this is a team that doesn't have their ace in Yoshinobu Yamamoto, doesn't have their leadoff man in Mookie Betts, hasn't had one of their best relief arms all season in Brusdar Graterol. Whole bunch of injuries and other problems, underperformance, and still looking at a team that's 19 or 20 games over 500.
But so I would also argue with you, though, that Yamamoto is not the ace. Tyler's the ace. I think Yamamoto's a really good number 2.
I'm going to say Gavin Stone then, just for funsies.
No, Gavin Stone now is the number 2. Tyler's still the ace until he proves otherwise. All right, Clint Pasillas has so much going on All Dodgers with Clint Pasillas. Tube in, as Clint likes to say. Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe to us on our YouTube page. Of course, Foul Territory, our parent page. Please rate us 5 stars. We need it. We're desperate. Like and subscribe to Dodgers Territory Podcast on Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast. Clint and I will be back on Wednesday. Thanks for being with us. Go Dodgers.
Bye.